Hey, saltwater anglers, and welcome to the Lower Chesapeake Bay Fishing Report, your local report, whether it's good, bad, or ugly. This podcast is part of the Great Days Outdoors Network, and each week we'll be talking to local experts to learn ways we can become better anglers in our pursuits offshore, nearshore, and inshore. To keep this amazing fishery healthy and thriving for generations to come, remember to protect what you pursue. Summer fishing is fired up with warm water and hungry fish moving into the bay. So let's hear who's making this show possible, and then we'll jump into the reports. Check it out. AFTCO has a gift for our listeners. They're now offering a camo sunglasses cleaner cloth with any purchase of AFTCO products. For cool mornings, I love my Reaper sweatshirt. And on those hot days, my Samurai sun shirt. You just can't beat the quality and performance. All you got to do to get your coupon code is text LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get subscribed to our email list, and we'll send you the promo code via email. All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of all ages, welcome to this week's fishing podcast report. I'm excited to bring back one of our fan favorites to talk about all things offshore, nearshore, and take a little trip across the pond to get experience from Hawaii. Welcome back, Captain Bill Pappas, Playing Hooky Charters. How we doing, Cap?
Hey, buddy. Welcome aboard Playing Hooky, man. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I understand you're getting over a little bit of this flu bug or whatever ran around. How we feeling? How we living?
Man, I'm doing good, man. I'm about 75%, but I got just enough energy to do a cast, man. Give you a good story or two, keep you moving.
Very, very cool. Yeah, I just wanted to put that there as a preface. You know, most folks we expect our 10 out of 10, podcast energy, but you might be, maybe 11 out of 10 today because you're dealing with a little bit of sniffle or whatever it is, that COVID or flu or whatever the heck you had left behind.
Yeah, I'm probably at least 9 out of 10. Most times I'm 13 out of 10, so I'll bring it down today.
Bring it back,
No,
yeah,
just
down to
messing
9 out
around.
of 10. But yeah, man. So catch us up. It's here middle of October. We've had a lot going on with the weather being really, really poor. But you guys did get a chance to get out there and do the Swordfish, the Ocean's East Swordfish tournament. And then you guys were laying the hammer down on some ahis there for a while too. So where do you want to start today? We've got so much to cover. Where do you want to start?
Let's do Hawaii, man. We'll do it in order.
All
Man,
right.
we had a great time, man. We went over to Hawaii. Took the mate Russ Moreau and my son. Both worked really hard on playing hooky. So Playing Hooky Charters took him over there for a vacation, for a 1 week vacation. Also coincided with my 30-year reunion for high school. So I actually got to see and hang out with a bunch of the kids I grew up with in elementary school and played football with, and went to intermediate. Oh man, I saw a bunch of girls that I danced with in intermediate, and girlfriends and stuff. And I reminded them, I was like, yeah, all your brother. They were like, man, what the heck? We danced and all this. Like, man, all your brothers wanted to beat me up after that. I was like, man, I couldn't hang out with none of y'all, man. What do you mean? No, they were pretty. It was very nice to catch up and see everybody and go over some old memories, man, and to talk about some good times. Everybody remembered me with the right light. They were like, dude, your smile was so big. You gave 120%, man. They were like, man, you were the guy who got hit and just always jumped up, and you weren't afraid to hit anybody. You would hit a 300-pound guy with everything you had, and it was fun to watch, man.
That's awesome, dude. I love hearing that. And just looking at the pictures from your trip, folks, if you uh, take a minute, go to Bill Pappas Jr. on Facebook and check out some of the pictures from his trip. I mean, you and your son got the matching sleeves on your shoulder. You guys ate some great food. The pictures of you guys riding around. I mean, that's got to be such a special time to take your mate and your son and take them back to like the homeland, so to speak, and just show them where, your life started and what your life was all about there on is it Big Island?
It was on Oahu. Just
Oahu.
that's the main island out there, but it's not the big island. The biggest
Okay.
one's Hawaii. But you know what? I'll tell you. Overall, the most empowering thing was being a man and showing my son and my mate how to be a man and to work hard for something.
Yeah.
To be like, hey, man, there's a goal and there's hard work in front of you. You want to get to that goal, you're going to have to cross over the hard work to get there. If not, you're not going to probably get to your goal, man. So I showed him that by determination. And my son had to miss a week of school and do a bunch of college work while he was gone and pre-learn a bunch of stuff, and did good when he got back. And Russ had to make a whole bunch of adjustments to get out of town and get his bills straight and all that. But we saved up and we worked really hard. And Russ and I all summer were saying Hawaii, 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 because we knew eventually our hard work was going to lead us to Hawaii, man, at the end of it all. And it was like one more trip and we're going to Hawaii. So we got
That's
pretty pumped,
awesome.
man. Yeah, it was awesome, man. He came in hot too. He brought his whole Hatteras Pier setup, man. He had a million sinkers, and he had a whole bunch of different stuff ready to throw out there. I was like, Russ. I was like, man, you need to change all of that. You can't have any of that stuff out there. What you want is you want like a million 1 ounce sinkers or less, half ounces, baby hooks the size of your pinky. And you know what? Be ready for like a million breakoffs. Pop, 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 pop. That's all you do. You get caught in the reef out there. He
Oh
didn't know
yeah,
that.
the
So he went
reef.
out
That's
there.
right.
He was out there, having a good time the first night. They caught a couple fish. And man, I tell you what, I caught one out there when no one was around. And it was late at night. And I grabbed this sucker by the face like I would any other fish, man. And it was like, oh, okay. Gill plated me. Sweet. And I was like,
Ooh.
all right, I was like, this thing's pretty good. And I was like, let me move it around and try to get a better squeeze by his eyeball. Squeeze it again. I'm like, ooh, man, he gill plated me again. And then eventually I look down and I'm just leaking. I'm
Oh
leaking
gosh.
everywhere. I'm bleeding, right? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm bleeding here. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh my God, this thing's got like poisonous spines that fly out of it. My son and them are like, yeah, man, this thing's got poisonous spines that fly out. And I'm like, LB just had showed up at the beach late at night to show me to check me out. And I was like, yo, man, am I gonna be good? Because it felt like fire. It was
Oh,
fire, dude. It was like, whew, it was heating up.
what was
So,
it like a
so
lionfish or something?
man, I don't know. It was a little, real tiny redfish, man, little sucker. And I wanted to
Oh,
keep it too. I was gonna do something with it, but I couldn't hold it. It kept poking the crap out of me. I got taken
well,
by the waves back in the water. But anyway, man, he found what it was, and it went down. And like I was like, you know what? I grew up here, and there's only a certain amount of things that can really mess you up, and this was never on the list to watch out for. So I'm sure it can get me. But I in about 10 minutes out, 15 hours back to good, man. That was
that's
good.
awesome. That's awesome. Well, it looked like you guys ate your way through the town, had a blast. I loved watching your
We did.
stories,
We
the
did.
grocery stores, and the amount of tuna, dishes that are just there ready to go. You can just pick whatever you
Oh
want
my
for your
God, it's
bowls. The
pokey. They put pokey out the
pokey
morning at
paradise.
Foodland. They
Oh,
put they put the pokey out at Foodland 8 a.m. in the morning every morning. You get a ticket and wait in line. You're like number 10. You're like, yeah, let me get half pound of this, half pound of that. Oh my God, it's we did it every single day, buddy, man. I tell you what, it was great.
that's awesome. And then you did a big old flip off of a cliff. I mean,
Oh
you're
yeah.
just like it's like you never. It's like you never age past the age of 18. It's like body, mind,
Man,
and spirit. You're just still right there, prime of your youth.
man, yeah, well, you're only as young as you feel you are, and I feel young because I just like to live, man. That's all there is to it, man. I look at every day as a gift, and wake up every day thankful and just go ahead and try to be young if I can, man. I mean, I don't know. I get out there and we jumped off the rock so many times and I actually had to tell myself the last one, be like, don't do it, man. No more, not one more in your head. Like, that was just enough. You know what I mean? From 45 feet up, we're bombing out there. We're gonna
Oh,
put some great videos up. And I did get to snorkel too.
nice.
Man, I had this crazy, I mean, it was an epic encounter for me, but with a turtle. And I was hanging out with this turtle. And then eventually I ran back and got my GoPro camera and I wasn't sure if he'd be way the heck out there because I was swam all the way back out there. Sure,
Yeah,
he was hanging out. And then when I got out there with the camera, he decided he wanted to come, or she decided she wanted to come up, and I went up for air. It came up right next to me, like a foot away for air, and just hung out with me. And then went back down, hung
dude,
out
that's
some more, and
cool.
did it 2 or 3 times, and just hung out with me. It was crazy. I was like, all right, I have got enough footage that I know that I've got enough footage.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I do it. Yeah.
That's so cool, man. Well, changing gears. So Hawaii was epic, and then
Yeah.
you've been absolutely laying the smackdown when the weather's been decent on some of the nearshore wrecks and the mahi.
Oh
And
yeah.
then so talk us through some of those, blue line and mahi trips. Like, what's been the highlight of what you've been seeing out there with these wreck fishing trips lately?
Well, we went out there on a wreck fishing trip, and we tried to book one last minute, and we didn't have everybody show up, but we still sent it as usual. And we caught 12 species in one trip, man. It was pretty cool. We didn't expect to see
Wow.
all that, but it was just a lot of different fish. I mean, from you name it, it was all these different fish on the dock. And the best part was I got to fish that day, so I could really feel how the bite was. And it was flounders biting, triggerfish biting, sea bass biting. And I would anticipate after this blow right here, we're gonna have a good time out there and catching those again. In November, playing hookie's gonna be wide open for some wreck fishing. We're gonna be fishing deep drops all the way till November, mid-November.
Mm-hmm.
Deep drop and sea bass. We can do the
Mm-hmm.
double. We can double up if they want to do the sea bass and the blue line tile.
Yeah.
We don't mind taking them for that. And we also are going to be running all the sword trips and stuff like that through October. So that's
Very
going to be
cool.
going on good. But
We
yeah, the wreck
we
fishing
just
is going to
need
be really good.
We need this northeast blow to go away. It's been lasting way too long. So, I mean, here it is, what, October the 14th. When do you think reasonably we'll be able to point the nose out east again?
Oh man, it looks like this weekend there's like a baby window. Boop, one little tiny one. And
Hmm.
then maybe next week there might be. And then I don't know. What's weird is you only have a certain amount of days to fish a swordfish tournament. You only get three. And we've only used one of ours, which means we have two left.
Mm.
And our second day we used, or we didn't use. Me and Russ went out there for a fun trip, just scouting trip, you call it.
Yeah.
And we hooked into a 250 to 300 pounder, man.
Oof.
Yeah, I gotta admit, it was a crazy adventure, man. Like, you guys wouldn't believe it here. But you know, I'll tell the story because there's a lot you can learn from this story here. This is amazing how it happened and how everything went down. There's only two of us on the boat,
Is
which is
daytime or nighttime?
this is daytime.
Uh-huh.
We've got a bobber rod way out the back, and we've got another rod, a down rod right in front of us. And I stare at the down rod, the tip the whole time, and out of the corner of my eye, or somebody else
Because
watches the
it's a
bobber
real
rod.
subtle, it's like a real subtle
Yeah,
bite,
you got to
right?
know exactly what you're looking for and stuff like that. And so we're looking and looking and waiting and waiting, and we start to go up the cliff a little bit, and it's our first drift, maybe second drift. Anyway, we caught some mahi on the way, so we were there a little late, but we get out there, and what were we using? We used squid that day, probably, and we tried the mahi, wasn't that great? Anyway, we get the bobber lays down, and I'm like, bobbers lay down, and we sling the bobber in. Soon we get to the bobber, unclip the bobber, and there's a lot of times when you're ringing that thing up and down when you don't remember to loosen your drag back up at the bottom of your drift. It's a lot of drifts, a lot of poles.
Yeah.
And so you don't remember if you did or didn't, and you're starting to fight a fish. Now, is the drag too tight? Is the drag too loose? Okay, and when you pull on it with the fish, you're pulling with him. So it's
Right.
like you there's no really gauging at that point. You're in the fight. So
Yeah.
we got this thing, we're cranking, and it feels light. It's really like light. We're not light, but it's coming up. We're like, all right, cool. You know, we're in 13. It's got 1,300 feet of line out. So it's sitting here bringing them up, bringing them up, bringing them up, bringing them up, and we're like, man, it's probably a shark. Maybe it's a
Right.
small one. Maybe it's a small one. We're on. We're definitely on. Are you on? We on? We doing the whole? Are we on? Are we not on? And we're just trying to find out the whole time because we're leaving just enough drag where it's got play, but then we get a couple head shakes. We're like, all right, cool, we're on. And you get so delirious after the first 45 minutes. You're like, all right, are we on? And you're
Right.
still on.
Right.
So we're bringing this fish up. We're bringing this fish up. We got another pole out close to the boat, but this thing is so far out to the side. We're not, and getting it all in at the same time. Hindsight, remember this is the rule. Reel it in. If you got one that close next time, just reel it in, man. We've caught two at a time in the past. We thought we were coming through a patch. We were trying to double up, and that was the mistake right there. And I was just remember the beginning and the end. But here we go. So after that, we get an hour into this fish, and it makes a sideways run to the surface. And I know what's happening. I'm watching it. I'm by then I'm bumping gears, running back and forth to the back, running the thing. He's pulling on, and we're taking turns, so we wear out, reeling, put this line in the pole with electric.
Mm.
The Daiwa 1200 that we're sponsored by Daiwa. Shout out. Anyway, there you go, Daiwa. Anyway, so we're using this reel and we got this thing up to the top and it goes way out the side. And right then is when you needed another person to keep that boat in gear, keep the fish moving. But as it
Ah,
comes up,
yeah.
he's trying to unclip the sinker. We've got all the leader to the top, and he can't get the sinker unclipped because there's a huge tangle in that. I guess during the
Oh,
drop, it was his first drop of the year, but if you drop him too quick or against the current, different ways, you can tangle. So there might have been a tangle on the bite. That's how he got the bite to begin with, is that he just ate with a tangled line. He could have tangled on the way up. I'll give you that credit, but more than likely that was just a regular twist tangle from the drop
mm-hmm.
from all the other stuff that's attached to this huge 100-foot leader of rig. So anyway,
Mm.
you've got a huge sinker on the back of it, 6 to 8 pounds, 4 pounds, whatever. You got all these different sinkers you can have on the back, but he's got a huge sinker on it, and he's going for the sinker, and I'm already looking out at the side. I'm like, and I already can see. I'm like, it's a sword, and from where I saw it. It already looked huge. It looked massive. And I was trying to be coy about it. And I go, Russ, forget the sinker. Get ahead of the knot and start leadering this thing. He's like, it took me 2 or 3 times to tell him that because he was still in locked in sinker mode.
Yeah.
And then he finally started leadering. And right when he gave it his first 3 pulls, the thing started coming right for the boat, and we could look at it. And I'm already standing on the side of the boat with the harpoon in hand, sharpened tip, looking straight down. And Russ said, man, he goes, I froze up, man. He goes, I started shaking. I've just never seen a fish that big. It was probably, I'm gonna say 253, and the
Yeah.
scale might have tipped 315. It might have done more. I'm always a modest guy where I rather a
Right.
picture and a real weight tell you than bull crap.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was like maybe two more pulls away and I could have thrown. And last night I told myself a week later I should have thrown anyway.
Oh, gosh.
But you don't want to hit the main line and break off anyway. So
Right.
he just didn't pull, and it was swimming at a T-bone right for the boat. So as it's T-boning right at the boat,
And you could barely keep up, right? Because you're hand lining.
he's hand lining, but he stopped. He stopped
Okay.
as it made its curve. He did 2 or 3 that brought it up, finished it, and it was coming at the boat, and he stopped. And then if you stop when you're going up, it only can go down. So it went down and under. Right was T-boning the boat is when I almost had to shot, but it was 10 feet deep still. I
Yeah.
had no shot. And he's like,
Yeah.
I'm throwing it over. I'm throwing it back over. And he throws it back over. And now we're fighting a tangle with a thing. And then it takes off 400 feet straight down.
Oh, gosh.
So then we get it 200. Then we get it to 100. Then we get it 200, 100, 200, 100, 300, 100, 200. And then it makes another run to 400. down. And then we get it to 100, 200, 200, 100. And then it makes a 500-yard straight out the back run on the surface. And that's another time we probably should have got that other one in. Anyway, here we go. It's getting closer now. I've got the other pole. A couple of times it got close to the boat. So I purposely let the other one that was close to the boat at the time way out so it would go further. All right. So now
Uh-huh.
I'm halfway out thinking we're going to kill the fish. All these other runs happen. They stay away from the side and everything's under control. It's only two guys. Can't have another guy going, let me get in here real quick or nothing.
Right,
No,
right.
and don't get me wrong. During all this, we might have went over and under a couple times and got it all out nice and clean. Well, this time, after that last surface run and it came back in, it got tangled with the other line. And now there's no line on it barely any weight. But I had just before that, when you get all the way to the end of a spool, as your brain will tell you, you go ahead and put another 20, 30 cranks on that thing to get it wrapped around there so you don't break off that way. That'd be the worst way to lose a fish by a knot. Pop. So you go
Yeah.
ahead and double up some line. Well, I did that. Now we're floating fast enough. This thing is pulling us. We've been bumping the boat. We're off the bottom. So our sinker on that main line was probably 100 feet off the bottom. Picture that, 100 feet off the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's wrapped with our other line with the fish on it. We decide, hey, and then Russ is like, you want to just cut it? And I was like, normally we'd never cut that much gear and expensive stuff at once, but for that big of a fish, one steak is worth that.
Right.
We were like, you know what? Yeah, to get the fish, we'll do it. So I cut from a bottom of a spool, boom, sent the line in. But what you don't realize is there's a sinker attached to that line. Your line is already wrapped around your main line with the fish. So as it's going down with one or two wraps, you don't know how many,
Oh no.
it chainsawed off our main line.
Oh gosh.
How? But yeah, man. So we lost him, and we learned. You live and you
Oh
learn. You
gosh.
lost, you learn. You could have pulled it a few more times and got it. We could have another person on the boat and got it.
Yeah.
We could have brought the other line in and got it. We might have had it double hooked. We don't even know. It's just we had it very well hooked, and we fought. That was 3 hours, buddy. That was 3 hours.
Golly.
3 hours. And that was at the end of 3 hours. It did that. Maybe even three and a half. It ate up the whole day. And then the squid boat went by us and dropped every chunk of bait around us and almost rammed us. He was just like, yeah. I was like, yo, man, you're fishing 4 miles, 5 mile stretch here, man. Like, you got to come like 100 yards off my bow or 50. And he was like, you're right where I want to be. And I was like, we're drifting here. All right. And I looked at all the stuff he was letting out the back, and I was just like, dude, we're not going to get no more bites. It's over. He
Yeah.
was just letting out butterfish everywhere. It's just like a huge chum pile. I
Oh
was like,
gosh.
well, we're done. Game
Oh
over. So you know,
man.
oh
That's
man.
so tough. That's so tough. I mean, I can't really put into words. I'm gonna try, but like imagine something that you've worked a long, long, long time for. Let's say that like you're planning a surprise birthday party or whatever the case, right? And then like at the last minute, you've done all the logistics, you've got all the people there, and then you get a call and it's like, my flight's delayed. I'm not going to make it home tonight. And all that effort just poof, toast. That's losing a fish at the 3.5 hour mark. I mean, it is so
Man,
devastating.
man, you can get a flight back, man. You can't get a fish back, buddy.
That's a
Man, that's a fact. Like you
that's a
can, like
fact,
that was one of
Jack.
the biggest. That was the top two swordfish, biggest ones I've ever seen. And the other one was Ed and I's 3.5 hour fight, and that one surfaced and but this one was clear as day,
And
right under the boat. Oh my
it's such
god,
a
dude.
it's such a special bite too because it's such a beautiful fish and they're so great to eat. They're so powerful. If anybody's ever not seen a swordfish, go Google a picture of a swordfish and look at the tail right by the fork. It is the size of a freaking, log back there. It's just a massive tail and it's all power.
Yeah, yeah, man. We thought we did everything right as much as we could, man. And I was like, when that sinker gets back up here, we're gonna cut the sinker. We had a whole bunch of stuff ready to go. We just never got that next chance, man. We were gonna just cut that sinker in and just leader them up and call it a day. I was gonna spear them again.
I guess the only tiny, I mean, millimeter size speck of silver lining I can think of is that you were fun
We're
fishing
not
and
in a
it wasn't
tournament.
a tournament day.
Yeah,
That's the only
yeah,
thing I can
yeah.
think of is like maybe.
Yeah, and hopefully we catch some more. Just because honestly, when you say it like that, it's you're right, 100%. We thought of the same thing, but it was one of those pride, get us back. We just came back from why we're not only we're back, but we're back. Yeah,
Yeah.
we put a 300 pounder up there, like boys, and you'd have been. I mean, you're mad about not winning the tournament, but just doing that alone and catching one of those fish. There's a whole bunch of money that you could pay for things in life, but just getting the biggest fish of your life, you can't always pay money for or get money paid to you for. So
Yeah.
it's just man, it would have been worth a lot, a lot. You know what I
Oh
mean?
gosh, yeah.
In my world, a lot, a ton. So
Oh
just
yeah.
that would
I mean,
have
I
been
think
great.
top
The family,
spot is like what, 80 grand right now or something like that?
yeah. There's some money in that tournament. Yeah, we had
Oh yeah.
We'd like to thank our sponsor there, James Schmidt. They're putting us in for the tournament this year. He put us in for all in, except for we didn't want the tuna this year, and going to represent Anchor Health Properties, man. So
Very
we're
cool.
Anchor Health Properties PHC this year, and we're down with that. Yeah.
That's awesome. Anchor Health Properties. If you guys want to check them out online, they what do they do? Anchor Health Properties,
I think that's them up there in Maryland. I hope I said the right one.
Charlottesville, Virginia,
Nope, they're in Delaware. I think. I think
Delaware.
it's
Okay.
Delaware. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he does. They do sell hospital properties, hospital buildings.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Um,
If you have a
well,
hospital building you need sold, man, give him a shout.
he's the guy.
Yeah.
And speaking of sponsorships, I see this picture you're talking about where you've got 12 species all in one
Oh yeah,
spot
yeah.
where you just have the two guys. I mean, you've got some look downs, some triggerfish, some sugar toads, some sea bass.
Those blowtoads, man, they're the best.
People love those things, man. I think they call them sugar toads.
Yeah, those sugar
Uh,
toads too. Yeah,
um,
puffer fish, whatever you want to call them.
pufferfish, yeah. Then I think I see, is that a bluefish or a,
There's a blue, there's a croaker, there's we had some little baby, what is it? What are they gag grouper? A couple gag groupers
yeah,
popped up.
yep,
We
some,
had some banded
buoy jacks.
rudderfish. Okay,
Yeah,
those
banded rubberfish. Isn't that the same thing as a buoy jack?
banded rudders and buoy jacks are different.
Okay,
Yep.
different.
This
Yeah,
is just a
banded
very
rudders.
different. Banded
Yeah.
rudders are skinnier and they're a little bit softer and better meat
Hmm.
than the other ones. But
Man,
and
that's a cool trip.
we saw, yeah, that moonfish was crazy too. Caught him in the blind.
The moonfish is really cool. But what I see in the background is your twin Yamaha 300 V6s.
Oh,
And
nice little there.
you know, those are attached, of course, to the beautiful 29-foot custom Seahawk. That's a great boat. And then
Yeah.
you've got hydraulic autopilot, and all the fixings, the steering cables, everything, steering hoses, excuse me. But that stuff will be for sale soon. Why is that?
Well, we got a major announcement coming up. I don't know when this podcast is coming up. I'll just get the date for you, make sure I get inside of it. But we got a huge announcement coming up, guys. We got sponsored by Yamaha. Playing Hooky is
Heck
now
yeah.
one of the pro staff for the Yamaha. We work with AJ and Gary out at Troy Marine with Troy Yamaha and stuff, and we've been working with them for a while, and they're great there. We fully support them, and they support us, and they have some great products. So yeah, we're gonna get some 350s, man. We're gonna get some 350s in March. We're gonna get some brand new 350s with the full steering package, where they're electronic steering, and they're gonna have a remote control joystick up top, so I can slide around on the wrecks and do some togging and after March. And we already love to fish, man. We already know how to use a wreck anchor. And playing hooky just hasn't had that advantage of other boats of using that spot lock. So I can't imagine how hard
Mm.
we've already worked for all these years to have a little bit of a little bit of a break from all that extra work and moving and grooving to keep things rolling. Shoot, to be honest, I just thought about I might be able to fish a little more. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it increases your time fishing. It definitely saves your back. It's safer, if you got to, pick up and run in a hurry, you're not fussing with an anchor. And then I feel like it gives you a big advantage in the sense of like you're more likely to explore more areas because you're not putting that anchor down and settling in. And it's like, oh, the bite slows down. Well, let's tough it out because we'd have to deal with the anchor. Now you can just slide that thing 5, 10 yards left, forward, sideways. It's Helm Master, I think, is the actual name of the technology that lets
Right.
you do all kinds of stuff. Like you can crawl, one way, left or right. You can set adrift. You can do. It's great for like striper fishing too, because you can sit there and set your course and set your speed and all that jazz, and it'll just do everything for you. Spot lock, you
Yeah,
name it.
it comes with the autopilot and everything. So I'm gonna have the auto, like you said earlier. We're not getting given these motors by any means. We're just gonna get a great pro staff discount, and
Yeah.
that should help us promote their product, and that should also be able to help us. We're gonna be selling our 300s that we have that are run like a top. They still do
Oh
full max
yeah.
power, and they're unbelievable. They'll have some high hours on them, but they'll have every single oil change, and they'll have every single the hours. We're gonna do all the compression checks on all of them and everything before you put them up for sale.
Yep.
And we're gonna be
Yep.
selling those before March. So if anybody wants to look for those, they're gonna be either
Wintertime's
yeah.
the best time to do a repower. And I'll say this because I'm somebody who has bought motors twice now in my life. Don't have a ton of experience, but I have just enough to know that when it comes to buying a motor, the hours doesn't have as much to do with, in my opinion, uh, the value as it does how they're cared for and how they're maintained. And you guys are religious about your 100-hour
Yeah.
service, your annual services, and then you're running a charter boat, so you're not out there dogging it like a private person who's like, yeah, let's just get there in a hurry. Wah!
No, no.
You guys are operating safely, securely, and a lot of those hours are just trolling hours. And so, if anybody's listening, thinking about a new set of 300s and wants to, save probably a considerable penny from buying new and get
Yeah,
a
that's right.
reputable pair, definitely reach out to Captain Bill and start the conversation about those engines and that whole setup with the steering, the wheels, the
Autopilot's going to be coming
autopilot.
off. Everything's coming off. There's going to be
Yeah,
steering wheels, autopilot, and all the steering cables with the hydraulics and everything. So
yeah. And I mean, if I was anybody considering, repower, I'd rather have engines that catch fish than don't. So, uh, give them a call today. Get that convo started. I'm
yeah,
curious. I
bud.
want I want to get a couple of quick details from you because sword fishing is something that's always kind of been curious to me. So, daytime sword fishing is kind of like a newer sort of thing that people have started doing. It used to always be a nighttime thing because they got those big eyeballs. You drop down your big LED, and it seemed to be the easy ticket to attract them. Daytime sword fishing though is so different. What's the one sort of key factor difference that you do when daytime sword fishing versus nighttime?
Well, first you got to give credit where it's credit's due. Zach Bowles, the huge, works at Ocean East. He puts on this swordfish tournament. Credit to him for doing all this for us. But 10 years ago, even 8 years ago, he had a seminar and he taught everybody. He told everybody how to swordfish. He'd go to the where you get the citations. That what is it? The awards assembly or whatever.
Yeah,
It's the boat show, but they do a huge thing. And Ocean East comes out there, gives a few speeches on different things. I like to listen to him and Justin Wilson. They gave a nice talk on swordfish, and just listening to them and them watching what's going down in Florida and then picking up the techniques and bringing it here and starting it here. They're the ones that did the daytime and started it here. Hats off, like straight up. I mean, it benefited them. And honestly, me catching swords doesn't hurt me. I love eating sword, but it helps the business as well.
yeah.
So we love catching swords. But when it comes to the other part is you got to remember Mike Avery for the years and 10 years ago plus even he used to love doing that, and they would do and Ken Neal, and they did a lot of the well, I think Ken Neal did it too. Anyway, I know Mike Avery did, and there were some guys that would do overnighters, and they would catch swords at night. It was a lot tougher. I've tried a couple overnighters, and it just didn't go well for us, but we didn't have any luck. But yeah. So now they got this daytime thing, and this daytime thing has really been getting keyed in, and your depths and your rigs and then you get a parking lot of people doing it next to you, and it's like, wow, this got big pretty quick. And then you're right in their spot, you're in their spot, I'm in your spot, you're in my spot. Then you got people driving down the whole ledge looking till they run into you, like, oh, I just happen to have this spot already. My buddy had it. Yeah, what do you know? So
My
and then
buddy.
the person turns their 50-footer around to try to swordfish, and they're like, whoa, and they drift at like 3 miles an hour and they're gone in like no time. You're like, well, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. No way, dude. It's like a show, dude. Like a
Oh
show,
yeah.
man. Smoke and mirrors there.
So,
Anyway.
so that's kind of the big difference is that you kind of get to pick a more, I guess, concentrated water column because of the light sensitivity. They're kind of more, I don't want to say trapped, but do they tend to kind of hang out in a more specific water column during the day versus at night?
Man, honestly, I've heard and I believe that it's true. It follows the moon cycle pretty much. You're gonna catch them more shallow
Yeah,
as you as the moon's up there, and as the moon isn't up there, it's gonna be deeper, or it could be the opposite. But you never know. It could be
right.
when the moon's not up there where they can see. But it's all about, for me in my mind, it's about the squid rising, because every full moon the squid come all the way to the surface. They
Oh,
make
I didn't know that.
yeah, every single full moon the squid come all the way up one time to mate and come back down. And when they do that, tuna eat, swords eat, everything eats. So if you ever noticed after a full moon and you go out there, you're like, why aren't they biting this morning? What the heck? Well,
They already ate
they just had the buffet at Golden Corral, and they are stuffed, and the ice cream,
and
and
their
they are not
stuff.
they are stuffed. They look like anyway. Yeah. So yeah, they're bloated, man. So yeah, that'll happen to you. But going after a full moon and still trying to catch the swords, you'll catch a sword with 10 squids in them and eat yours. So they're not mad at the 11th squid, I don't think. So I don't
Yeah,
know. But
that's pretty cool. That is
yeah.
very cool. So,
And so around here, I'll tell you two other things, man. It's pretty cool. You'll find interesting for the podcast is that everyone talks about a pumpkin sword, right? The pumpkin sword, you want to get that pumpkin sword. Now up north and up in the middle and around certain areas, I've already noticed you get white meat swords, just regular swords. You get swordfish meat, which is fine.
uh,
But a certain area up to the or down to the or out to the who knows where. Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, you go out there and catch those in a certain area, and they eat red shrimp on the bottom. There's a whole bunch of red shrimp in that one area, way around there somewhere. And sure enough, man, those ones that eat the red shrimp, when you pull that thing in the boat, boy, that meat's orange, man. It's like Halloween.
Really?
It's like pink and orange. Now the difference in the flavor is one tastes good and it's swordfish and it's delicious, and
Yeah.
the other one, I'm not gonna say mush, but the other one tastes like it's greasier, man. It's just like a little bit fattier. You know what I mean? I don't know how to explain, like a fattier tuna and a regular lean tuna.
Yeah, yeah. It's
So
like the difference in the I guess the fat or the color and how that relates to. I mean, the
you
same I
know
think
what?
is true with
Steaks,
cobias, you know.
wagyu, and regular steak. That's the difference right there.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, so you're saying the pumpkins taste
Oh
significantly
my
better.
God, it's because of their diet. Yeah, if you
Yeah.
find an area where you get the pumpkins, man,
Well, I guess
those
yeah, because
those are a big deal.
a shrimp versus a squid's going to have a remarkably different flavor profile. Squid is basically bland, and shrimp's got a flavor to it. And I know from looking at some of the cobias that I've caught before, those cobias you catch way up the bay, by like 36 and up in the York Spit, they're feasting on the menhaden, they're feasting on those little hog chokers, and then what is that thing? The shrimp that kicks real hard.
Oh, the mantis.
Manna shrimp, yeah. They're feasting on those things. And then if you catch a fish more like at the mouth of the bay or even like out on, like the CB buoy line, like I caught one out by the NC buoy line and its belly was completely chock full of those rose or calico crabs, if you will. And when I cut into that thing, it was like the whitest, cleanest cobia meat I've ever seen, and it had a little bit sweeter taste to it. So I can definitely easily believe the difference there's got to be remarkable. If they're out there if they're eating so much shrimp that it's turning their meat a different color,
Yeah,
it's going to affect the
I'm sure
flavor.
you can look. We can look up pumpkin sword, and it will tell you why. It's probably saying the same thing, but that's what I always thought it was or heard it was. So
Yeah.
I know it's delicious, man. It's just like I said, it's a huge. I've gotten steaks where I've taken the pictures and I was like, "Yo, we got a pumpkin here, baby." Yeah. Now look, don't leave your fish out for another extra half hour in the sun and call it a pumpkin because you turned it pink. Now that ain't
Mm-mm,
count. That
no,
ain't gonna. That ain't gonna count. Now
no, that definitely not.
that'll give you the flavor you're looking for there.
Yep. No, that's exactly it. So quick Google search. Yeah, it confirms. But this is interesting. A swordfish gets the pumpkin name because of the orange colored flesh, which it develops from a diet in high carotenoid rich crustaceans like shrimp and krill. That's krill with a K. The orange coloration is a rare occurrence, however, estimated to be found in only 1 in 3,000 swordfish.
What? No way. That's wrong. Well, in one area we had. I guess you're right. I mean, there was a couple that didn't, but we had like four of them. I haven't caught no
Right.
thousand swordfish yet.
But maybe that just goes to show how special that one area you're fishing in
Yeah, it
is.
was. It was. I'm sure until it got commercials and smoked.
Yep. Yep.
We had a we were catching them pretty good for one year, and these guys from down south in Oregon Inlet and stuff started messaging me a whole bunch, trying to ask me where I went, and where we're going, and how we've been catching them. And he told he's like, and he freaked out on me when I wouldn't respond. And he was like, you know what? I've given you so much information and all this different. And I'm like, bro, I didn't ask you for anything, man. You're just coming at me, dog. Like trying to. And you're the guy who runs all the swordfish commercial boats, and you want me to tell you what I've been doing? Like, what are you gonna come do?
Mm-mm.
Smoke? I mean, anyway, they found me.
No, no,
No, they found me.
oh,
They
they
just found
found
me.
you.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
gosh.
Oh yeah, bro. They just drove the boat. They drove the boat along the edge till they find you. I mean,
Well, if there's one thing that's true, and you talking about that kind of reminds me as a reminder to myself and to us all, is like there's only one person that owns the ocean, and his name
it's
is
never.
God.
Yep. It
And
ain't nobody's ocean.
he created it. We just get to live in it and enjoy it. And I feel like just about the same time that we start feeling like we have some sense of ownership or we deserve it because we found it first or this, that, and the other. Like it's just, the good book says it's so much better to give than receive. So if you have an opportunity to share and let somebody else, I mean, we were talking to Captain Kenny a couple weeks ago and he was like, when I'm on a good sea bass spot, if somebody pulls up and they're polite, hey man, how's it going? He's like, I'm happy to share a spot with somebody that's respectful, and I think that it just goes a long way to show, what this fishing community is all about. And guys like you and Captain Kenny and others, Zach Castro, that are willing to share and are willing to help and want to see others succeed and kind of keep the main thing, which is get out there, make memories. I like what you said earlier about taking your boys down to Hawaii to, teach them what it means to be a man. I think there's what's that old saying? It's better to teach a man to fish than to give him a fish, and that's what you're doing. That's what you're doing
Yeah,
for LB
you're right.
and Russ, literally
The expression
teaching them
is
to
is,
fish.
is teach a man, give a man a fish, feed him for a day. Teach a man to fish, feed him for a lifetime.
Yep, yep. And there's definitely sort of a double entendre there with the life lessons that come along with that because learning to fish is all about discipline, planning, contingency, thinking it through, creative problem solving, staying cool under pressure, all the above that is, all the characteristics of
Triumph
what
and
it means to be a
success.
man. Yeah.
Triumph and success, man. Because when you triumph and success in fishing, you eat.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You
Bottom
like
line,
literally, you
you
just
eat.
you go back to your primalist urge and you eat. So like you can
Yep.
pound your chest, take a picture, smile, and all that stuff, but you get to eat a fish, man. That's the
No
best part,
doubt.
man.
No
Never.
doubt. Well, man, I always get so excited to get on here and hit record with you because we always get to hear an awesome story. We always
Oh
get to
man.
learn something.
Yeah, don't cut your line. Next time,
Don't
hey, look, if
cut your
that's the other thing.
line.
Next time, if we get tangled, we're not going to cut the line. Maybe we'll crank a little with it and just keep the weight off a little bit from the tension, or we have no more line to give. But yeah, don't cut the line, guys. That was
Don't
not a no bueno.
don't cut the line. Well, Cap, before we
Oh,
wrap up, folks that are listening are probably like, man, I want to go out there and chase a swordfish. Man, I want to go out there and I want to catch, a wreck fish, whatever. What's the best way they can get contact and get booked on playing hooky?
look, guys, we got a bunch of ways getting a hold of us, but you can go to playinghookycharters.com. You can also call 757-619-3530. You can find us on Facebook. And we have a walk-on service too that's great. It's got 907 people signed up at playinghookycharters.com/walk-ons. And we're also gonna make a cookbook coming out in 2020.
Cookbook 2020. Captain Bill, thank you for being on the show, man. I really appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure.
Hey, you got it. Have a great one, buddy. You guys take care out there.
Yes, sir. Folks, that's going to wrap up a really fun segment, catching up with Captain Bill here and all about Hawaii and some of the great food, the poke, the beach fishing, some sword fishing, some wreck fishing, and everything in between. We want to congratulate him on his new sponsorship with Yamaha. We're excited to see those 350s and that Helmmaster installed coming spring 2026. Guys, if you're looking for a great deal on some 300s, give him a shout right now. Get in the line. Don't miss that opportunity. We'll be back with you here real shortly after a quick word from some of our sponsors. Boaters know that the unexpected can happen anytime. That's why Seatow offers 24/7 on-water assistance with priority service for members. Whether it's a dead battery, running out of fuel, or needing a tow, Seatow's fleet is ready to help. Membership includes unlimited towing with no distance or dollar limits in your home area, fuel delivery, jump starts, and more. Plus, members receive exclusive discounts on fuel, electronics, dockage, and boat insurance. With over 500 ports nationwide, Seatow has you covered wherever you boat. Join today at seatow.com and boat with confidence. Upgrade your waterfront with Killer Doc's premium dock furniture. Built to last a lifetime in marine conditions. Crafted from marine-grade aluminum with a protective anti-corrosion coating, it's tough enough to handle the elements while providing unmatched comfort. Featuring sunbrella cushions with fast-drying, removable covers, our furniture stays securely in place even in storms. Choose from cabanas, club chairs, love seats, tables, and more to create your perfect dockside retreat. Durability meets elegance at Killer Doc. Check out the full collection at killerdoc.com today. All right, y'all. I don't know about you guys, but I'm about up to my eyeballs with this wind. And when it's windy like this, one of the things that we can kind of lean into a little bit more is getting inshore and getting after some of the speckled trout and puppy drum that are available to us and some of the more, you know, lesser traveled areas like Little Creek, for example. And so I wanted to get with Captain Travis Kemp with Foolproof Fishing to talk about what he's been doing up there in the Little Creek Basin and just kind of get an overview of what's going on and how that's working out. So welcome to the show, Cap. How we doing?
Pretty good, man. You doing all right?
Yeah, like we were talking about before we hit record, been traveling a lot for work, getting an office set up down in Pensacola Beach, and looking at some of the flounder gigging and different things that go on down there. Definitely interesting to see another fishery up close and personal. But no, otherwise great, man. Just ready for this wind to stop blowing.
Is it windy down there?
Oh yeah, unfortunately the weekend I was there that we thought we might be able to get out and do a little deep dropping. Gulf of America decided to get turbulent, and so we had to stay inshore and you know do the whole Modelo and shrimp taco thing. Actually, excuse me, grouper tacos, which was not bad. Yeah. But
Seems like it hasn't stopped blowing up here since August 1st. So.
oh my gosh, it's just relentless. I know we were talking about it earlier on the near shore offshore report about just how wild it's been. Uh, it just doesn't seem to slow down. I guess we kind of traded off for no hurricanes, but instead we got these just incessant nor'easters.
Yep. It's made us thankful that we've been able to do some inshore fishing. Little Creek and Lynnhaven and up in the river and things like that. It's definitely helped us make it through these windy days.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So what have you guys have been seeing? I mean, I know you've run your boat hard all through the cobia season. That Southern Cross sets up perfect for those big, chunkier bay days. You're able to get out there and be stable and safe. How does she do inshore? How do you leverage that boat for your inshore bite?
Well, it only drafts like 16, 18 inches, so it does pretty well, especially with the trolling motor. And I got that Garmin Kraken 90-inch trolling motor, and that thing is a game changer for inshore. I can pull it up. We can get real skinny if we need to, and it's a big wide boat, so certain little creeks and channels and cuts are hard to get in and out of, but we make it work.
Good. That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what you got to be able to do, especially this time of year with those fish do tend to go up into that skinnier water, whether that's for chasing bait or adjusting to some temperature changes. I'm curious, what kind of class of fish are you seeing right now, and does it start to change as the temperatures adjust?
Well, as far as the puppy drum go, since the beginning of September, we've been on a pretty consistent bite. Now I say consistent, but there's some days when it's been really tough, and others when we land right on them and catch a bunch. But most of the fish we've been catching are in the mid slot range, 22 to 23 inches, But I would say I've caught them from 16 all the way up to 32 inches in the creek, and had a couple that we couldn't stop that broke us off. That who knows how big they were, taking us around pilings, and we're using super light tackle stuff, 2,000, 2,500 size reels and 10-pound tests to make it a little fun in the backwaters. But sometimes you hook them and you can't do nothing with them. But I'd say on average, our puppy drum are, 20 to 24 inches.
I mean, like you said, on light tackle, that is a really, really fun fish to catch. And they pull hard.
Oh yeah.
I've always loved the way that a puppy drum hits, especially when you're fishing like a slow twitch bait or a really light jig head. Like there's no question when they hit. Like you've been hit,
Yeah.
and then you can swing with confidence, and barring a hookless jig, you're going to connect a lot of the times.
A lot of our fishing, especially on charters, you get some more inexperienced anglers. So we've been doing a lot of bait fishing and live bait fishing, which it's fun. It's real visual. It's good for the clients. And we've caught quite a few on lures as well, but the live bait and dead bait bite's been pretty good.
So when you talk about the live bait and the dead bait, talk us through the difference of those two. Obviously, one's alive, one's dead. I get that. But like, which specific bait do you like to use for live and which specific for dead? And when do you go to those different ones?
Well, if I can get live little finger mullet, that's the obvious choice. But, we've been using, little dead menhaden, some cup mullet and stuff like that. And basically whatever we can get that's alive that's small enough to cast.
And then
from pinfish to little spot and everything else.
Got it. And how are you rigging those?
A variety of ways, from on a pop and cork, rig with a circle hook to putting them on a bottom rig with, some split shots and a circle hook. We got different ways of doing it, but those are probably the two most common ways.
So a split shot. I don't think I've heard the term split shot since I was like, 12, putting a worm on a bobber. How are you integrating the split shot? Like, talk me through that and why that versus like a weighted hook.
Split shots, and you're using light fluorocarbon. You can use a swivel and an egg sinker, but I like to go super slim and as little terminal tackle as possible on these rigs. Just you're fishing sometimes real shallow water on a flat, and you want to keep everything minimalist. So to me, I think the split shot is the go-to for me.
Got it. That makes sense. Um, and then, getting out there and starting to look for, some fish, what kind of things do you key in on, when you're in a larger area, like a large, river like the Lynnhaven or the Little Creek Basin? Um, what kind of features or temperature changes catch your attention that make you think, oh, this could be worth, investigating a little bit with a few baits or a few casts?
Well, different times of year, obviously you're looking for different stuff. But recently we've been trying to fish, flats with grass, and then deeper structure with moving water. Those have both been working pretty good for us.
Okay. Deeper structure and moving water. Moving water is
Yep.
typically pretty easy to find because we've got those, heavy tides. And in those tide cycles, going from our, I think did we just have, or are we having the king tides?
We just had it, but we're still coming off of it, so it's still some pretty big tide swings happening right now, especially with all the east wind we've been having.
Okay. Yeah. And does that change your fishing time? Like during those really, really fast times of the tide when the water's moving, 6, 7 knots, is it fishable still, or are you having to kind of just lay back and time your fishing around that?
It's fishable still. You just have to find different areas, you know, not quite so narrow locations. Like, you go to a bigger flat is better for, fast moving water. It'll be moving less there. Whereas, you go to a narrow spot in the creek, obviously the current's going to be flowing a lot faster.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I like to fish midway through the tide, right at the start of each tide. Has been good for me. The slack tide is usually terrible.
Right.
And then, right at the like the peak speed of the tide is tough to fish. But the last 2 hours and the first 2 hours after a tide have been pretty good.
Got it. That makes sense. And then, the bite, talking about these puppy drum, has it mostly been puppy drum, or are you starting to see some of the speckled trout show up at all?
We've had a lot of speckled trout. I'd say the last month, it's been a lot of small trout, but here recently we've been getting some good ones. Just, I think it was 3 days ago, I had a 2-boat trip with Baybound charters, and we took a bachelor party group, 4 on one boat, 3 on the other, and we caught, those boats limit of speckled trout between 17 and 22 inches. So that was a really good day.
Now, you just kind of,
That should only get better through the next month.
right. You piqued my interest there because I know a lot of folks have done some of these corporate events and things like that. Obviously, one of the, uh, I guess, limitations of, inshore charters, you got 4 folks to a boat is what you can take. Plus, you don't really want more than that on a small vessel, swinging jigs and hooks around. Uh, how does that work out? So if I had a group of, say, 8 folks, or if I wanted to do like a corporate event, or even if I just had, like you said, a bachelor party, or even just a larger group of guys that wanted to have some fun and do, our boat versus your boat, is that something you guys do often where you'll kind of, collaborate with another charter and go fish in similar areas?
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We did it several times throughout the summer for cobia fishing, and this is the first time we've done it inshore, and it worked out pretty good. Makes for some friendly competition amongst the 2 boats, and everybody's able to get involved and not be all cramped up on each other.
That's good. That's very good to know. Folks that are listening, like that's what you can do as an option to get more folks out there. I've heard nothing but good feedback from that. Like it's fun to go out there and go fishing, but then if you can do like a little friendly competition, your boat versus our boat, if it's puppy drum, I think one of the funnest competitions to do is not length, but most spots. Yeah. Because
we've had a couple with a whole bunch of spots here recently, but I would say most of them, especially in that slot range, are just your basic 1-spotters. But
right.
We did have one that was loaded up with spots last week.
That's pretty cool. I know with like cobia, when they're all kind of white and spotted, they call it piebald. Is there a terminology for a puppy drum that has an insane amount of spots on it?
The ones that have a ton of spots, the guys will call them a leopard drum, but
okay,
That's kind of just a almost like a nickname for it. It's not nothing official.
Got it. Yeah. Leopard red or leopard drum. Folks that are listening, by the way, if you've never heard Captain Travis on many of our episodes and segments in the past, you can save yourself a trip to Google or Encyclopedia Britannica, and just call Travis. He's kind of what we would call in the industry a fishing nerd. He's extremely well studied and loves the science, loves the details, and has very, very in-depth knowledge about all things fishing. So I always enjoy getting to pick your brain for stuff like that because you've always got that sort of anecdotal but also scientific, viewpoint, which I always appreciate. So as we, shift into the middle of October and into November, what will change in our water temperatures and in our fishery inshore that you're expecting? How are we going to see it adjust over the next, 2 to 3 weeks as the season really does change?
Well, I don't see the puppy drum going anywhere. I mean, we had them through January last year, but the speckled trout bite should only be getting better from here on out. They're definitely moving in big numbers right now. After what we saw just on Saturday, I mean, it was every cast there for a while, and it's definitely fish were flushing into the inlet at that point in time. And they'll be moving up into the creeks and rivers and everything else here very soon. And I plan on, like I told you before, hopefully moving my boat to the Elizabeth River and doing some river trips starting probably mid-November. I'm in Little Creek through the end of October, then I'm going to pull the boat for some maintenance stuff and hopefully get it in the river the second week in November, and we'll be getting back after it in there.
That's exciting. I'm curious, like I have fished the Elizabeth River many times into January, February, and I'm talking like back in the days of the quote unquote hot ditch. What is it about the Elizabeth River that differs from Little Creek in terms of like why the fishery is more uh, lively into those colder months, whereas, in Little Creek or even in Lynnhaven, it does seem to kind of really slow down as the colder temperatures ensue?
Well, it's more area for sure, but you got mud bottom, and it's a lot less of a sand bottom like you have in Lynnhaven and Little
Hmm.
Creek. You get more of a mud bottom, and it's deeper water. I think those fish go up in there, and they like to lay in that deep water and on the mud bottom and stay warm. I believe,
Mm.
and that's where a lot of the bait goes to. The bait certainly goes deeper that time of year, which is where the predator fish are going to follow.
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. The muddy bottom, can hold with that darker sediment. It holds and retains heat, a little bit better than a sandy bottom. And yeah, everything naturally kind of attracts. We always forget about the fact that these are cold-blooded creatures. So as the environment gets colder, they kind of naturally, for the sake of being able to still move, eat, hunt, they always look for that slightly warmer temperature. And speaking of temperatures, if I'm in there fishing for puppy drum and or speckled trout, if I see a temperature change of say a half of a degree, is that significant? Like, does that matter, or are we looking for more like 2 to 3 degree temperature differences to pay attention to?
I would say the 2 to 3 degree temperature difference is definitely something to pay attention to, but they tend to bite consistently. I mean, I've caught them all the way down to 38, 39 degrees, which is a lot tougher to catch them. You got to definitely change your tactics and your speed and what you're fishing. But
Hmm.
I would say a big temperature swing during a short period of time definitely can shut them off or
Hmm.
turn them on. Depending on which way it goes and what the patterns are at that point in time.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. Oh man, it gets me excited to get out there. I feel like this Northeast has kind of like made us all sort of like forget about fishing for a little while, but there is something special and fun about getting out there in the inshore on a cool morning. I feel like I always think about Thanksgiving for some reason. I think about Thanksgiving. I think about river fishing. I think it's because it's always like that time where
Hmm.
like you can go fish and you might catch a puppy drum, you might catch a speckled trout, you might even catch a striped bass, depending on what body of water you're in, and it's just fun to get out there and throw light tackle and just enjoy the cooler temps. So we got what, 14, 15 more days in October. Do you have open availability if folks are interested in getting on an inshore trip there in Little Creek with you?
Absolutely. This time of year, I have a lot of surf fishing tournaments, but I schedule my trips around them. But after this weekend, and then next Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I can't fish, but after that, I'm wide open till the end of the month. So,
Okay.
somebody wants to go fishing, give me a call.
Awesome. And what's that number?
252-435-5967. Or look up Foolproof Fishing on Instagram or Facebook and get in touch with me there.
Very cool. Yeah, you guys definitely give Captain Travis a call if you want to get on that inshore bite. It's a lot of fun, and he'll get you in a spot where, barring you dropping your fishing pole in the water, you ought to be able to come tight on something. The surf fishing tournament's coming up. Just give us a quick synopsis of that. So, I mean, you've done very well on these in the past. Surf fishing red drum, from the beach is kind of like your specialty. What do you guys have coming up for Foolproof for those fishing tournaments?
Next, well, we had one that was supposed to be this week, and I posted about that yesterday on my story. That now I'm open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for trips, but I was supposed to have the Nags Head Surf Fishing Tournament this week, and then next week is the Beach Buggy Association Red Drum Tournament. That's the big one,
Okay.
which actually as a team Foolproof has won the team division the last 2 years in a row. So we're going for the three-peat this year.
Nice.
And then the first weekend in November is the Big Hatteras, or the Cape Hatteras Anglers Club Surf Fishing Tournament, which is the largest surf fishing tournament in the world. It's 120 teams of 6 fishing in Hatteras Island.
Wow, that's awesome. That's very exciting. Well, I hope you do well. I know you'll do the best of your abilities, but your abilities do tend to be better than everybody else's abilities. So we'll say a prayer and a wish that you guys manage to edge out another victory.
It's tough fishing. By the end of the beach buggy tournament, usually you want to throw all your stuff away and never fish again, but we're going to grind our way through it.
Good. Oh, and there's always a cool number, and I want to share it with folks, and I know you're going to know it off the top of your head, but what was you had a year where you counted the total number of drum that you caught from the beach. What was that number?
The most I've caught in a year from the beach, some of them were from a pier too, but that was 140, and they were all over 40 inches. 140 over 40 inches, and probably another 100 that were, under that, but you'd only count the ones over 40 inches.
And say that number one more time just so it sinks in for folks listening.
140, but it still wasn't enough because my best buddy Kyle, he caught 148 that year and beat me.
Well, Kyle cheated clearly. 140, man, that's insane. That's just like that's another level of fishing. So my hat's off to you. Well, before we wrap up, any other fish tales, stories, or tips that you want to share with our folks listening?
Not really. That pretty much sums it up.
Cool.
Ready to get after these speckled trout and have a good winter, and ready for next year's cobia season. Hopefully, it's not blowing a gale.
Man, preach. I was just thinking about that this morning. I was like, I feel like this year's fishing season was just so different than anything I experienced in the past 10 years in terms of just the number of fish available to even look at, much less go after. So yeah, I agree with you. Hopefully next year we have a much different season than we experienced this year.
Yeah, and I am actively booking trips for next year. So if somebody wants to get on the books for next year's cobia season, certainly let me know.
Definitely. If you have like a special event or a day that you plan on being vacation down here, now would be the time to call Captain Travis and book that date with him. Again, he's got a super capable boat. That Southern Cross can do it just about in any condition. As long as there's a glimmer of sun out. And if not, I think you guys have figured it out in the clouds many times, but definitely give him a shout and go ahead and get booked today. Captain Travis, thanks so much for hopping on the show and giving us a little sneak peek into what's going on inshore. Always appreciate it, man.
Yes, sir. Thanks for having me, Luke.
Absolutely. Folks, that's going to wrap it up with Captain Travis this week, talking about what's going on in Little Creek and what we can look forward to here in the next month and in the Elizabeth River, where that muddy bottom keeps things a little bit more active longer as those temperatures really start to cool off. Guys, be safe out there. Let's pray this northeast away, and hopefully we can be back out there chasing some of those near shore wrecks soon. Till next week, y'all be safe out there. Talk to you soon. Serious shallow water anglers count on Stay Put Anchor to do exactly what the name says: keep smaller boats locked in place. Fast, quiet, and without dropping a heavy, noisy hook. Built in the USA and designed for boats under 24 feet, Stay Put's solid fiberglass pole spikes pair with marine-grade bow, stern, or drill-free motor mounts for quick installation. So more time spent fishing and less rigging. Choose from 6-foot to 12-foot pole options and the versatile super handle to stake out on flats, sandbars, or in the pads. Affordable, dependable, and proven by anglers nationwide. Learn more or build a custom kit at stayputanchor.com. Hooked on fishing? Then you're part of the local community that Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle cares about serving and giving back to, providing you with the right selection for each season's target species. They're your one-stop shop to gear up with the best bait, tackle, and insider tips to catch your next trophy fish. You can fuel up right out front on the water and then chat with the crew inside for hot tips on where they're biting. So swing by today. Long Bay Point Bait and Tackle, where your fishing adventures start and finish with your trophy catch on their scales. If you're 21 or older and use nicotine or tobacco, it's time you charge ahead to Black Buffalo, America's only credible smokeless tobacco alternative. Black Buffalo dips just like the real thing, but without the tobacco leaf or stem. Get it now at Wawa, Circle K, Sheetz, Love's, Pilot, Racetrack, and many more that you can see on their store locator at blackbuffalo.com. Black Buffalo tobacco alternative is everything you love about dip, nothing you don't. All right, y'all, that's going to wrap it up this week. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts. And remember, to get your free APCO Camo Sunglasses Cleaner Cloth, text the acronym LCBFR to 779-345-2918 to get your promo code and be added to our email list so we can send you the new show each week. You guys keep on whacking them and be safe out there.